Well, hello and welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of the New Construction Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Anya Chrysanthon, and I'm really excited to introduce my guest for today, Alexis Udine, the Queen Alexis. Alexis is with Group 2 Advertising, and I'm so excited to have you on the podcast today. Yay, we're going to have so much fun.
I know. I am so excited to be here and miss talking to you for sure.
Yes, I feel like we should have gotten some like champagne maybe or something,
Could have mimosas. I mean, that's appropriate, right?
Oh, yes, we should, I should grab some from from downstairs. So I don't know what we were thinking. So Alexis, we'd like to kick things off by telling our listeners a little bit about your story of who you are, what your journey has been professionally and personally, and, how did you end up at Group 2 and what you're up to now?
Oh, goodness. How much time do we have?
We have all the time in the world.
But it is actually a long story. So I've been in the industry since 2008 with Group 2, off and on since then. So a mutual friend introduced me to Molly back then, and it was really my first job out of college. And I've always had an interest in new construction, in the new home building industry. I've only lived in new construction, which is an interesting fun fact. And I remember when my parents built their third house, I was going to the sales office with my father every day. I helped him pick out the home site. I helped us pick the floor plan, and I just became in love with it. I really, really enjoyed it. So I think my love and passion for the industry started back in '98, but I came to Group 2 in 2008, and I was a marketing major. So that was my degree, which is very rare today. I feel like a lot of people don't use what they actually studied in school. But I got to work with Richard Elkman, was still president of the company, and Molly was kind of new there. And I kind of worked with everyone. I was willing to do anything and everything, started assisting in both accounts and media, and stayed there for about 2 years. And 2008 was a rough time to come into the housing industry. But I, at that time, was newly engaged and said, you know what? I think I want to go back to school. And so I did, and I went back and I got my master's in education, which is something that I use today, but I went for teaching. Did that for a little bit, and then started a family, and Molly and I stayed in close touch. And at this point, she had taken over Group 2, and she said, why don't you come back? And I said, you know what? Let's do it. So came back to Group 2, again, working in account services directly with the builders and also media planning. I did a lot with our media department, which was really fun, social media, kind of everything. And then I left again because I really wanted to see the builder side of things. And so an opportunity was presented to me to go work for a home builder. And at that time, I was actually purchasing a new construction home. I did that for about 3 years and started doing their marketing. At that time, I was an online sales counselor for them. And then I also ended up selling. So kind of did everything. I sold active adult, build on your lot to first-time home buyers. It was a great experience for me. And then Molly and I, again, stayed in touch. And she said, why don't you come back? And I said, you know what a great opportunity to be able to bring my experience full circle from both the builder side and the marketing side. So came back, never looked back. Marketing is my passion. Sales was great. I really enjoyed it, but I had to go back to what I know and love. And so I am now an account supervisor at Group 2 with some new and exciting things going on. And that's kind of my journey. And along the way, got married, got my master's, had 3 children. And so it's been a whirlwind, all good things, super busy.
Yes. So before we get into the new and exciting things, I want to ask you this. So what was a thing that surprised you, or was like maybe you realized that was like a blind side of yours when you went from working for an agency to working for a builder? Was there like an aha moment for you that you're like, oh, now that I'm actually in the weeds with the builder doing this day in and day out, like I get it so much more, or like I didn't realize this or that, or like, was there any aha moments for you?
Yeah, well, a couple things. So when you're working for the builder, you don't have the support of the whole agency, right? So I understand why marketing directors and coordinators come to Group 2 to have the support of that whole agency. But really, by working on the builder side, I got to get a little bit more of perspective into the buyer, what their needs are, what they're looking for, how they're feeling, and their emotions. And really working with them directly allowed me to tap into that much more. And that can make your marketing so much more powerful when you have that ability to do that, if that makes sense.
100%. I mean, you got to know your buyer and understand them. So it's so interesting that you've only lived in new construction.
Yeah,
That,
I don't know what that says about me. And along the way, it's funny. So we sold our townhome that was our new construction, and then about 6 years ago, we built our forever home. And so again, new construction with a different builder. Just love the experience, love the process, and love being able to personalize. So again, that unique experience is another thing I can bring to our builders, because I've been on the buyer side multiple times. And so all that experience and that knowledge is a great perspective to bring to group two.
for sure, 100%. So you got your dream home, you got your forever home, and while everyone else was busy quarantining and chugging drinks and gaining weight, you and I were actually busy growing humans. Huh?
Yeah, well, we were getting weight too, I guess, right? In like a different way. But yeah,
Yes.
2020 was exciting for us in a different way. I remember being at the builder show before this all kind of happened, and you had your belly, and mine was a little secretive. But yeah, it's been a crazy year. And what, your daughter is almost 1, right?
Yeah, so she's going to be 1 in April 20th. She's the 420 baby.
Oh, 420, because the time flies. And my daughter actually is 7 months today. So it's just crazy. I mean, this year for everybody was a whirlwind, but at least we can, brought some positivity to it by, having daughters together. So it's just nuts how quickly time is going.
It is nuts. It is nuts. So, so how did you feel about the whole quarantine and having a daughter at that same time?
I gotta say, and I don't know how this is going to sound, but I was like, wow, this is the best time to be pregnant, because get to work from home in your comfy, stretchy pants and still be on Zoom, and people don't have to see what's happening down there, and just feel like relaxed. And so no pressure to miss out on parties or feel like obligations, and just really a chance to kind of decompress and unwind. Now, work never stopped. Work was busy, but to have the opportunity to be home, and also, I never had spent that much time with my other 2 children before, because I was always working, and it was a time to slow down and really be together. So there were challenges, as I'm sure you know, working from home with children, but I try to always see the positive in that, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
And
I couldn't agree more with you. It's I tell people that I actually secretly way more than everyone else, I think, enjoyed this whole
yeah,
quarantine, because I, like you, it was obviously it was scary because I had my daughter kind of like at the beginning of this whole thing where a lot of things were really unknown, and it was like, oh, like, do we go to the hospital? Like, what do I just do it in a tub at home, or like, what do we do? So, but yeah, I feel the same way, that it was so nice to just be able to kind of take that time and really be together as a family. And I mean, for my husband, to be able to spend, because he's been working from home too, and now he's kind of indefinitely working from home. So to spend that much time.
Same. So yes, we'll see how that continues to work out with everyone working from home. But I couldn't agree with you more. And I don't know about you, but we definitely miss our industry friends. And I talk to everyone at Group 2 nonstop. We're on Zoom all day long, but definitely miss some of the events where you get to see people in person for sure. So hopefully that's coming soon.
So speaking of the events, I don't know about you guys, but I'm thinking about getting out there this year. So I definitely have my eye on SCBC. So it's coming up in July. I'm not sure if PCBC is going to be happening in June. I was on their website, and it's still kind of
I heard maybe being pushed to the fall, possibly. I'm not completely sure, but yeah, definitely just looking at everything to see what we can attend. Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's time, right? We've all been.
I see the light at the end of the tunnel. I am craving a builder site visit like never before. One of my builders is like, I have a plane. I'll send the plane to you. Just get on it. But I think part of what we do is it's a partnership, right? And there's such relationships there, and so we develop these really close bonds with our builders, and so we miss going to see them. So that's the first thing I want to do. Just go on a site visit, live in some models, and chat with some teams. That's what we're looking forward to doing.
Yes. Now, I know besides being in quarantine, and obviously you guys have been busy at Group 2, I know you guys have also been planning a new service. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, so we are so excited to introduce G2 online sales coaching. It's something that we've wanted to do for a long time. And, it took a lot of work to kind of bring together. So we've been working on it behind the scenes for about a year. And finally, we were ready to introduce it. And it's funny because on all our calls, we chat with the sales team, we chat with the online sales counselors, and they were always coming to us for questions and training and follow up. And we would take them so far, but, we said there is such a need for this. And why not keep everything under one roof with group two? And so it just seemed like a natural place to go. And I did this job for 3 years. I had some training and I loved the job. I was passionate about it. And what better than to be able to coach people and train people when you did it yourself and you love the position. So you can bring that passion and that energy to the people you're training. And so just released today, actually went out to the industry. And so it's a huge comprehensive program. And we're so excited to be able to bring it to our builders in the industry.
That is so exciting. And how timely. 2020 was definitely the year that I think a lot of builders realized that if you don't have an online sales counselor, that is something that you definitely need to fill, because otherwise you're missing on a huge opportunity there. And, I think last time we were at IBS Live, which was, 2019, I guess now.
Yeah.
I remember I was standing on stage and saying that, your virtual model home online, your website is way more important than your model home, the physical model home. And I remember still getting kind of like looks from people like, oh, I don't know what she's talking about. That's the case. And
We're
I think,
something.
yeah, and now fast forward, I think everyone's realized that, hey, it truly is that's where the customer journey starts. And it's 99.99% of every single person goes online first. And that's really where the journey begins. And so I think we don't have enough resources in the industry, enough trainers to really support all the builders who need to implement the service or expand their team or get better. So I couldn't agree more with you that this is such a timely product. Now, tell us more about what that looks like. Is it 100% online? Is it go at your own pace? Or is it, are you going to be coaching people one-on-one? Like, what does it look like?
Yeah. So first of all, I couldn't agree with what you said more. And I think that's kind of why we fast-tracked getting this out, is because the opportunity is there. And, we hear from builders that they can't manage their leads right now.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, a lot of people are getting appointments left and right, but at one day, the leads are going to slow. And you want to make sure that you have those processes and that foundation in place to succeed moving forward. So what does it look like? It's a 90-day program. So it's a 3-month commitment, and you work directly with me. Now, right now it's all virtual. We'll be doing training sessions on Zoom. They're recorded. And we start by just diving in from the start, learning the sales processes, talking about how to qualify. So there's a 6-week training there where we're talking weekly. We're doing coaching calls. We're going through everything, answering all your questions. Then from there, they take a test. So there's a comprehensive test after a 6-week period to see what they've learned and they've mastered the skills. And from there, we continue to talk. So we go into bi-weekly coaching calls. We have management come in on a monthly basis where we're looking at reporting, completely comprehensive. And we're giving you this deliverable, this manual that has the scripts that you need, the follow-up written out and completely, everything you really need to be able to succeed. So at the end of 90 days, you are a master at this. You're an OSC superstar. And so that's kind of what the commitment looks like. And, we're not limited to just that weekly call. We're here as a resource. So anytime you have a question or concern or anything, it's really, I want to develop relationships with the people that we're training. I want this to be a fresh and fun approach. I don't want anyone to dread or feel like they're going to school, even though my teacher might come out a little bit at times, but just something unique and different where it's a collaboration. And at the end of the day, I'm here to make that OSC be the superstar that they want to be and get all the appointments and the quality appointments. And so that's kind of like a breakdown of what it will look like, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so a couple of things to dive a little bit deeper. So you said, so it's 100% online. Is it one-on-one or is it group coaching? How's that
Yeah,
structured?
so and that we can be flexible. So if I'm training one-on-one with one OSC, it can just be me and that person. If there's a team, we can have the team, and I've done both. And I found that you kind of have to play around with it. Sometimes it's better for the OSCs to separate and have their own time, and sometimes it's good for them to come together. We always invite management. I want them to see what skills we're applying and what we're instilling in them, so then they can make sure that they're kind of communicating with people on site, because we know that the relationship between online and on site has to be strong. And so for now, it's me, and I'm sure this program's going to grow. I'm pretty confident that we're going to see some success in here. So I do think that this department will grow and there'll be more, but it's a really one-on-one training right now, and management and sales can jump in as they want. It's really tailored to meet the needs of your company. Because I have some people who are like, I have an OSC, I need to get them up and running. I don't have the time. Please, can you do this for me? And so it really can be catered to what works best for your needs.
Yeah, that was exactly my next question is, is it for somebody who already has a program established, or is it for somebody brand new? Now, what if a builder does not have a program currently in place? Would you help them with any kind of a hiring process or ideas for like who would be perfect for this role, or would they need to have somebody in place before they're ready to take on a program?
That's something that we're like, working on now for sure. I do have, I've already gone through this training. So I can say that the people that we work with were brand new, fresh, jumped right in, and we literally started day one, and they're up and running and taking appointments. So it can go either way. So if you have a new hire, we'll take it from here and we can get them up and running to succeed. If you need help with kind of getting the talent, that's something that we can help with too. So we're kind of gravitating towards that way. But also, if you have someone, I was just chatting with someone the other day, and they have an OSC who went through some training, but she's like, you know what? I want her to go through yours too. I want this fresh approach. So really, we're not limited to brand new OSCs experience. We'll really cater to whatever we can do to help you.
Yeah, that's a great point, Alexis. Like, think about sales training even. There's so many different methodologies for how to approach it. If you look at Jeff Shores, it's completely different than, maybe Jason Forrest, or, there's so many great trainers in our industry, and every single person will have their own idea and different approach. And no matter how many sales trainings you take, I don't think you ever stop learning, and there's always something that can resonate with you specifically, that really speaks to you versus like that other training maybe.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's a great point. Even myself, when I went through sales, I've had multiple experiences, and it only makes you better. It only makes you stronger. And they might have something that they are not strong at, and then I need help in that area. Maybe their scripts need work, or maybe they have trouble closing. And so whatever it is, we're there to help just better them.
Absolutely. Now, you did mention that one of the things that you're going to be talking about is that relationship between the online and on-site salespeople. And I think that's often a tricky relationship, because sometimes on-site people feel like, well, you send me this lead and thank you, but really it's now my lead. So kind of, stay away. Why do you keep asking me about the status of this lead? And why do you want to know more information on this? So what's your take on, I guess, the ownership of this relationship?
Yeah.
What happens?
That's a great question. And there's also there's a whole section of training where I literally go through, it's called the relay, it's the handoff process. And what does that look like? Because there is a science to that. So, typically, I don't want to say this, but salespeople might want their lead handed to them on a silver platter. And so I really think the first step, and this is what I talk about in my coaching, is, the on-site people are used to having their own leads, and I got it. I don't need an online sales counselor. So the first step is really developing that trust and that relationship. So I make sure that my OSCs are talking to the community specialists on a weekly basis, have meetings with them, check in, because once they establish that trust and that relationship, they're going to feel better about it. And so really, while it's an online lead, it is completely the ownership of the OSC, and they are nurturing them and they are providing them with information. They're qualifying them to an extent. They're asking the qualifying questions. Once they set that appointment, they introduce them to the on-site agent. And once they show up in that model or that sales center, they are now in the hands of the on-site agent. So they then become with them. And sometimes an online sales counselor might follow up and be like, oh, how was your meeting with so-and-so? Which is great, just to show that you're communicating and you're working together. So there's a whole handoff process where you show that prospect that you're working together to make it a smooth transition, if that makes sense. But there's a science to it, and there's a whole process to make sure that that goes smoothly and effectively.
Absolutely. I think there's nothing worse than having a prospect come into your model home, if they actually come in, versus, Zoom call your way. And that lead was referred by OSC, and the prospect spent the time providing all of this information to online sales counselor. And then the salesperson comes in and says, oh, how can I help you? What are you looking for?
Oh, that makes me cringe inside. So yes, like they need to get all the information, show that they're working together, introduce the new person, so there's no confusion on the customer's end. Because at the end of the day, it's all about the experience, and you need to make sure that that's top notch. So that's a lot of training. That's a whole section that we go through. And again, you have to have the buy-in from both parties to make sure it goes smoothly.
So important. And if you think about it, like think about the times when you're on the phone with the company, whether it's credit card company or whatever company, and you're press 1 for this, press that for that, and then you finally get to a person and you explain your situation, and it's like, oh wait, I need to transfer you to whatever. And think about the frustration when they transfer you to the next person, and instead of actually giving the backstory of what you already explained to this other person, they just drop you off and you have to start fresh. It's like that, only way worse for a prospect if they spend that time building a relationship with OSC.
Especially when you're making the most important purchasing decision of your life, right? And so, we can't stress that enough. And we kind of are saying, we say first impressions are everything. And so that OSC and that website, that's your first impression of this builder and this experience. And so you need to know when someone's out on their new home journey, they're comparing you to resale, they're comparing you to the competition. And so we always want to be a step above. And so that's why it's so important, especially in the beginning when they're top of the funnel, to have a great experience where they feel it's personable and relatable, and they're getting the best treatment possible.
Absolutely. And I think it's also important, whatever you're learning in this training, to extend it even further out. So I always talk about, how can you create that warm handoff in my own program where, hey, it's, if once the sale is made, what's the next step for this prospect? Are they going to be meeting with the loan officer instead of just handing it off to a loan officer or saying, hey, the loan officer is going to be in touch? Wouldn't it be so much more pleasant for the prospect if you do that warm introduction, either get a loan officer on the phone, or now, of course, we have video capabilities if you can do that introduction.
That's in there.
And really create that. It's kind of like the Four Seasons, right? If you walk in and you ask where the bathroom is, instead of them just saying like, oh, you go down, and then to make 10 turns, they actually walk you down to the bathroom.
I could not agree with you more. And so that's something that we definitely train on and still on, and make sure that they have it down. And then, the on-site people need to know how it's working too. So it all comes full circle. So like I said, that's a whole section of the manual. That's like a week or two of training in itself to make sure that that goes seamlessly.
For sure, because it is all about customer experience, and customers are comparing, like you said, not only to other builders but also to resale. And now a lot of with real estate in general, with resale markets, a lot of those teams, and the teams are going to be really the surviving agents, and they have OSCs of their own. And I can tell you that these OSCs are relentless. They are hounding down their people and their prospects. They're calling them constantly, staying on top of them. So Let's talk a little bit about that follow-up, because follow-up is obviously my passion, my
Yes.
hot button. And I think that is a big, big weakness for a lot of
Oh,
salespeople.
goodness. Yeah, and now their excuse is they're too busy, right? So you're hearing that left and right. But go ahead, answer your question. I don't want to cut you off.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you a couple of things about follow-up best practices. Because for OSCs, obviously, it could look a little bit different than for on-site salespeople. As an OSC, you are following up with a lot more people than an on-site salesperson, and you have a lot more balls in the air, because
for sure.
you have to know a little bit about all these different communities, etc.
Yes.
So on average, is there a rule of thumb that you'd like to follow, or so to say, okay, these are the rules when it comes to follow up. You need to follow up at least X amount of times. It needs to happen within a certain period of time. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, great question. And I don't want to, so it's interesting, and this should be coming out. So we did online builder shops of some national builders, of some of our clients, and just to kind of see what is out there, what's going on. And we did it in 2020. And it wasn't so good. And we did it in 2021. So you have a normal market, and now you have like an abnormal market, because when we did it back before, it was before the pandemic. And so we've done these 2 builder online shops, and we have to say the results were really disappointing. People are not, maybe they'll reach out, but they're not following up consistently. So what is best practice? 5 minutes or less. And I can talk about that from experience. So if you get a lead that comes through online, 5 minutes or less, when you're working from your hours, whatever they are, have them be 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. or whatever that looks like, 5 minutes, because the longer time goes on, the chances of connecting with them go down. So speed sells. That's number one.
And if you guys think about this, like think about you late night or whenever you're browsing on the website, and that's when a lot of shopping takes place, is after hours, right? And if you reach out to somebody, if you don't hear that response very quickly, by the time it's the next morning or the next day, or God forbid 5 days from now, you're like, who, what?
It's out of sight, out of mind. And that's why I'm guilty. When I was an online sales counselor, I would answer the phone at 8:45 at night while I was doing BAS, because I knew if I got them, I could set the appointment and I was going to get paid. So it drove me to do that more. And you're totally right. Think about people's buying patterns now and when they're having their downtime. And so that's why it's really vital. And you'd be surprised how long it takes some people to respond. And so again, always think about your competition and if you can be better, because they're not following up as fast as you are. So definitely speed sell. So in terms of timing, that's what I can tell you. In terms of consistency and touch, we found from our research that it takes 6 to 8 different communications to create a viable lead. So yeah, a lot of times people will respond within 5-10 minutes, send that email. Okay, I did it. I'm done. And then sometimes they never reach out again. And so it's so important to continuously follow up via phone call, text, email. I don't want to tell you how many touch points our program has, but there's a lot. And there's a science behind it, because like I said, it takes that 6 to 8 times to create that viable lead at the minimum. So if you're doing the one phone call and the one email and the bare minimum, there's so much more you could be doing to nurture those leads.
100%. And so I think statistically, it's like up to 78% of all leads go to the first company or individual to follow up. So right there, obviously, you have a huge advantage if you're the first and you're fast within that 5 minutes. But then we do know that it takes a while for people to to make that decision sometimes. And now we're kind of in an unusual market, right? To say the least.
Say the least, yes.
Right now, I think speed almost trumps everything else, because people are ready to make a decision. Like I was talking to a salesperson the other day, and they said, like, if I don't if I don't convert them within 24 hours, like they're gone. This
Yeah.
just because people are buying that quickly. So right now, it's so important that you follow up right away, and you convert them right away. Now, going forward, when we return to kind of a more of a normal market, whenever that happens, if that happens at some point,
We'll see.
yeah, it's not only important to follow up quick, but it's also important to follow up often, because in the normal circumstances, you're not, it's not necessarily going to be 24 hours or whatever. People are shopping for 90 days. Some people shop for up to a year.
Yep.
So it's important to really have those multiple touch points. And so how do you really make sure that gets done? Is there technology? Is there CRM? Like, what do you recommend that people do?
So the way we have it, and so when you sign up to work with us, we have it completely spelled out for you. So it literally gives you your follow-up, and we have a whole plan in place. And so it could go out to 60 days. And day one would say your task is an email, a phone call, and a text message. Day 3 is another email. And so what we're able to do is we already have it built out. We can take your CRM and we can upload the whole follow-up system in there for you. You don't even have to think about it. It's there, it's ready to go. That's a huge value of working with us. And then what happens is, depending upon what CRM they're using, when you log on, you see your tasks for that day. And so, oh, today I have to do these 3 emails or these phone calls and whatever it might be. So it's really building in efficiencies, right? Especially in today's market, people are so busy. So we have this proven structure. We know it works, and we're able to provide it to you and have it all ready to go. Because I was talking to someone the other day, and I said, well, how do you know when to send your next email? Oh, I have a reminder. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, you can't rely on your brain to remember to do these things. And so there has to be consistency. And again, like I said, there's a science, there's a why behind everything we do. And so different things are going out at different times to stay in front of people. And so there's a lot of follow-up that needs to be done. And until they tell you, bye, I bought somewhere else, or stop bothering, I'm not interested, you keep nurturing them.
I agree with you. So question for you. What are your thoughts on a reminder versus automation?
Yeah, I think so. I think it depends on the source. And so we have different follow-up systems for different sources. So BDX would have a follow system. We just started developing a customized follow-up system for social media. So depending upon the source, we found that, like, BDX, for example, gives like so many leads that the OSCs couldn't keep up with it. So we want everything to be manual for a while, because we want the OSC to understand what's going out when, look at the messaging. But there does come a point when, okay, for the BDX, let's turn that on automated. Because, if you're getting so many leads, you're only one person. And so I think it depends on a couple different things. But from the beginning, I don't like to automate anything. I want them to really dive into understanding the why and just seeing exactly what this campaign looks like.
Yes. And I also think it's important in the beginning to make it super, super personalized, right? Because especially if they're reaching out to you and asking you specific questions about your community, you can't just respond with the generic message. So you've got to make it, personalized response. And then once you address that in the beginning, and then, say maybe they didn't convert within the 24 hours, but there's still a hot prospect, then you can certainly implement automation. And there's certainly a way to make automation personalized, like you said, especially with social media. Like, I love that idea. I think I haven't seen really anybody or many builders do that. And I think it is a great way to follow up with people, because everyone's on social media. And if you look at emails, I mean, really great open rate is like 20%, right? Like, that is fantastic. But most builders will not have that 20% open rate. But if you think about social media, I mean, everyone's on their phone constantly on social media. Like, how many times did you check your social media before we even got on this call this morning, right? So your prospects are the same way. They're on social media, and there's a way to serve those messages on social media, even if you're not connected as friends
Yes, for
in
sure.
front of them and really make it personalized. I mean, that's great thing. That's, I guess, a good and a bad thing about social media is that there's such a capability to really, really, I mean, you could call them out by name if you really
Oh,
wanted
100%.
to.
Yeah, you could be creepy. You could be a little big brotherish if you really wanted to, but I think that's key. I mean, you don't want to sound, you can tell when you're getting an automated email, and yes, there has to be efficiencies, but any way you can make it personal, relatable, they're going to want to talk to you over the next person. And so that's definitely key.
Absolutely. So, Alexis, if somebody wants to take a look at this program, if they're, wondering if that's the right thing for them, how do we learn more about this?
We have it on our website. So there is a link all about it. And then you can see exactly what the program entails. So like I said, it's 90 days, but we detail out everything that's included in this program. And it's really comprehensive. It's full circle. I mean, I keep saying soup to nuts. It's an expression my mom always used to say, but that's really what you're getting here to set you up for success. And so definitely check out our website, contact me, but everything is outlined there. And it's a fresh approach. I want to say we're different. I really want to create relationships with people that I'm training and make it fun and personable. And like I said, nothing scary or something that they're dreading, just really set them up to love this job because it's a great position. There's so much opportunity with it. And I enjoyed it so much that I want to bring the passion and the education to everyone that we're working with. And so everyone at Group 2 is so excited that we're able to have this new service. And yeah, I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, I think again, it's this position is just going to explode over the next few years. So there's certainly need for it. And what's the website? And if somebody wanted to connect with you, where do you hang out on social? What's the best way?
So it's going to be everywhere. You might see my face more than you want to see. So definitely you can check out our Facebook page and there'll be, you're going to see it all announced with our all new branding, and you can click through there. Group 2, if you go to group2.com and check out our services, you can see it there. My email is audine@group2.com, AUDINE. So yes, I think social media, our website, or reaching out to me personally is how you can get in touch. But yeah, you might be seeing more of my face than you want to, Anya.
No, there's no possibility to. More Alexis, yay. Queen Alexis.
Yeah. But it's we're really excited about it. It's been a long time coming and it was a lot of work. And this is just like, again, you said it, the market that we're in, it's just more needed now more than ever. And so just excited to have the opportunity to be able to provide this to everyone we work with and more.
Yes, I'm excited for you guys rolling out the service. So I will link all of the information in the show notes. So definitely be sure to check that out. And Alexis, thank you so much for being on today. It was so good to catch up. And yes, I honestly cannot wait to see you in person.
Yes, we're going to have a drink. We're going to have to cheers and spend some time.
Now we're going to be Moms Gone Wild.
That's what I tell everyone. I was like, you guys, when you let me out of the house, it's going to be, Mom's Gone Wild is actually what I said. Well, behave yourself, work hard, play hard, right?
That's right. All right, my love. I will talk to you very soon.
Thank you so much for having me
on.
Bye. Take care.